Hey crafty babes, it's Andrea. Today I'm going to show you a look inside my 2018 family album. If you listened to my brand new podcast, Hey Crafty Babes, I will link to that in the description, but it is on YouTube if you haven't caught that yet. I mentioned that my 2018 plans for memory keeping were going to be very different than what I've done since basically 2012. I've been doing pockets for a very long time, and 12 by 12 pockets, very large albums and multiple albums. And this year I really wanted something a lot simpler. And I think that I came to the decision after planning. Of course, I didn't just willy-nilly decide what I was going to do. I had some goals and made a plan and found what I think is going to work really great for my memory keeping for this year. I am using this Felicity Jane album. This is from their Christmas line, Joy. This was part of that collection. And I picked up a couple of them because I wanted to be able to use them for some other things. And so this is going to be the very first album in the series, and what I'm going to do is actually do one album per season. So this is my winter album, and I'm hoping we're getting, I do have some thick things in here, and I do have some empty page protectors in the end that's making it feel a little fuller than it really is. So hopefully I can get January, February, and March into this one album, and then I'll move on to a different album and it'll be spring. So the basic, I guess, style of this album is going to be part junk journal, part pocket, part planner. There's just kind of all the things, including like commonplace book kind of feel. It's just going to be a lot of good stuff, a lot of good stuff, but it's not going to be 12 by 12 pockets. My goal for this year in my memory keeping is to basically give my photos and stories more space than just trying to cram them into a week and making all of that fit together. So I'm just going to show you what I've done so far. I have completed the first week of January, except for I have one pocket spread in here that is going to be each of our photos of all of the four of us, and then some statistics about us, but I haven't taken those photos yet, so I'm just leaving that section blank for now. I'm going to be using a lot of Traveler's Notebook size insert papers because I have so many of them. They're 8 or 8 1/4 inch tall, so they fit perfectly in here, and they're a great little add-in for just layouts and dividers and all kinds of fun stuff. So this here is the opening page, 2018, let's do this. I thought it was really a great way to start. And I really just want this to be very texture based and interactive. And this has some dimension to it. I'm gonna, like, I've taken some inspiration from Kathleen at Scattered Confetti, and I'm making things a little bit messier. I'm like tearing up the sides and corners and being as kind of as artsy as I can. I guess that's really the only way to describe it. I'm just feeling a lot more free without having the constraints of the pocket system, but I am obviously going to continue using pockets in here. So this is the opening page, and then the first page inside is using the latest kit called Hello January from Tracy Reed, and it's available at sweetshop.com. Oh wait, sweetshopdesigns.com. Lost it there for a minute. So I've printed out cards and embellishments, and just thought this would be a great place to just give the name. And I'm doing things like I'm stitching. I'm using my sewing machine and stitching so that there's just texture and things. Now I realize it's inside of a pocket, and that's fine, but I enjoy the process of getting a little messier with these pages. So this is where our family stuff is going to go. So each of us will have a photo up here, and then we'll have some statistics down here at the bottom. This was one photo that I took when Marshall and I took Charlie to the park, but I wanted it to stand by itself and not really have anything to do with the park, because the park wasn't what was special. It was just kind of a cute photo of the two of us. So I used a bunch of goodies from the Reset Girls Smitten collection that just came out, and some Kelly Perky cards to make some of that blue pop, and then use some pink, and that was really fun. And this is kind of the purpose of when I went to the park, we took like 15 pictures. And so to choose just one photo is kind of my my challenge. And I feel like I've done a good job so far. I'm being very selective about what I am deciding to put in here and what stories I'm going to tell. So that's been really fun. I bought this stationery set at Michael's. It's the Recollections brand. And it was just kind of hanging out on one of those, not the end cap, but like how they have those big sections of planner goodies and stuff in between one department and another, I guess is what you'd call it. And they have, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 different sets. And this is the one that just made me feel like it would really go well in this album. So I have used the envelope here. I glued a doily to the edge here, and then when you open it up inside, you have this little ticket and you pull it out. And this is a Citrus Twist Kits card, and then I just used some letters there to say let's stay home, because this was still my vacation. And you close it up and you flip it over, and it's got the rest of the doily here. And then I used a couple of embellishments on that doily. This is a layout about Christmas going away, and I just wanted to say a couple things about it's time for Christmas to come down. And I had one picture. This is all of my Christmas stuff that fit in this apartment that we're in, because it's limited in space, and I brought in just my very favorite things, and it fit all in this one big giant box. But this is a couple of layers of different things here. So underneath this My Brilliant Ideas, it's like it looks like it was from a pad of paper that had like different note-taking kinds of things. It was given to me by a friend because it had like this vintage look. She thought I would really like it. So I put a piece of vellum over it and then just layered my photos and some embellishments to pull some of the greens and reds out of the photo. That was fun to work on. This page here was actually super fun because I used some stamps, and then I used the stamp water plastic technique. I don't really know what its official name is, but that's what I'm calling it. It's where you ink up a smooth surface like a packaging from stickers or something, and then you spray your water bottle on it, and then you just kind of flip it over and smudge it down. And so I did that on this vintage graph paper. And then I also kind of daubed a bit of, oh, dabbed? Did I dab or daub? My paper towel on some of the really wet parts, and then used the ink and water absorbed onto the paper towel. And so then I used the paper towel to kind of make some more marks because it had some ink on it too, and it gave a nice little effect. And then I just layered, and this page was really inspired by Sue's Fish. She just posted an older layout of hers that had this banding on the side and then some layers, and her text was turned 90 degrees. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. But anyway, very inspired by that layout because the photos were similar, and I just had, I'm so used to pockets. So I'm really becoming inspired by others who are doing these kinds of one photo layouts and then just kind of sizing it down for the size that I'm working with. On the other side here this is a bag that was in a kit from Make a Pretty Life. It's the same owner as Fancy Pants Design, so she's making kits now, and I bought the January kit. It came with these fun little bags that have these different things printed or stamped. They look like they might be printed to look like a stamp, but they're super cute. And so then I just stamped a couple of lines from another stamp set, and then just said that on the agenda we were chilling, because this kind of goes together. There's nothing in here. I just stapled this on for a little color. And then I used a little tab here to just be able to pull it over. On the other side of that, I used a piece of acetate that had some polka dots on it, and I fit it to size. And then I just typed a little journaling about how we love to watch The Twilight Zone on New Year's Eve, and then into the next day we usually just kind of keep it on every now and then in the house. We love to watch the old stories. And so this is not necessarily in order. It's just kind of where the photos fit. They're semi in order, but like this was on the 31st and the 1st, and we're kind of going in order like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd-ish. And not every day is going to get something, by the way. So, and I'll show you kind of how I'm going to handle that at the end. This is a layout that I did for one of the next days. This was the 6th, I believe. And I didn't date it, and I actually meant to go back and date that. So anyway, I just kind of made a little bit of a, sort of like a pocket with a Tracy Reed paper from her I Love Fall collection, and tucked the 2 photos in there. I made one kind of small and then one a 3x4. And just used different supplies that I've been really loving lately. I folded and kind of roughed up this edge and then stapled the corner down and put a little puffy sticker there. And just tried to make my visual triangle with some yellows and blacks make sense. And then just a little bit of journaling. This side here I posted on Instagram, so hopefully you caught it. But I did a couple of other fun things. Was more sewing, which is great, and then I just kind of layered and then trimmed the bottom here so that it kind of looked like it was all resting with this doily underneath. And it was just really fun to kind of just layer and this is just, I've had a lot of fun with this, by the way, if you can't tell. This is a 4x6 card from Kelly Perky. I just added some 1/2-inch self-adhesive plastic dividers so that I can punch my holes in them. I just did a little Reset Girl sticker combination here with a sticker from the Kelly Perky set. And on the other side, I used it to document just one photo from a trip that Matt and I took downtown so that he could get some B-roll for a project that he's working on, and he's across the street filming like a time lapse or the light changing or something. And then here I'm actually going to on my computer, I'm going to space out the journaling and then run this through my printer. I just haven't formatted that yet and haven't written that out yet, but I saved the spot for it. And then this is the end of the week. So this was a Sunday. And so at the end of the week, I'm going to just kind of add a little, like I just added some stuff. I added some vellum from Felicity Jane and just some extra things that I had that were pretty and cute. And then I'm doing a spread at the end with a week in review, basically. So this is going to be where I'm going to put smaller stories that didn't have a photo. So it's at this point, I kind of had a story for almost every day of the first week, and that's not always going to be the case. So I did just make a few notes about the stories and then used some more stuff from the new Hello January kit. And so, but that's kind of what things are going to be like, as far as, because I'm not every story is going to necessarily need a photo. Sometimes it just might be a little note that I can scratch in here. And then the following week, I will probably decorate this other side when we get into the second week. And I might make this my, weekly title card like I would do in a Project Life spread. And then here is a layout for Monday. So this one was super fun. I got really messy and it was awesome. What I did was I actually just went over to my acrylic paints and I picked 2 colors, just 2 colors that I normally wouldn't pair together. I would normally go with more primary colors, and this time I just kind of closed my eyes and was like olive green and coral. And then I went through my stash and tried looking for paper that had both colors in it, so that I was really trying to challenge myself to use up some things that I would normally gravitate toward in my stash. I would, either ignore it or be like, oh, I already used that, or I would have an excuse. But so I found the Felicity Jane papers from the Kate collection, and I lightened up my green. I put some gray and white in my olive green. So this is the color. It's this color. It's a light foliage green, so it's a bit bright, but I added some gray to it. And as you can see, because the gray in the floral here, it's got gray in it. So I lightened it up and added, like I said, added some gray. And then my coral, I added just a little bit of white because it was just a little too bright. And it really worked out wonderfully because I just got to kind of paint and be messy, and I used the bubble wrap technique. I learned it from Shauna, of course, from Illustrated Faith. She's so good at mixed media. She taught me how to do that. And then I used the paper towel trick again, which I've done in the past, and that's something that I learned from Heather from Illustrated Faith, because she once did a tutorial on some different textures when you're working with acrylic paints, and that was one of the easiest ones that I could implement at the time when I was like following along and trying to figure out my mixed media world. And then I layered up some scraps from those papers, and I used the branding strip, and I cut a little tab from another one of the papers that I don't think was from that collection, but still went really well. And then I used my sewing machine to stitch some different pieces of it, made a couple of scribbles, and then used my watercolors and just did like some, what do you call it? Sprinkles. There is a word for this, and because I'm a novice with painting, I'm missing the name of it. Splatters, ink splatters. You probably were all yelling at me, splatters. So I hope that's the word. And I hope that's not the word, no, that I said before that when I questioned myself. Listen, it's late. So this is kind of what my album is going to look like. And as you can see, I really do have a ton of space left. There really is going to be, I'm pretty sure there's going to be enough room. And the other part of it too is just that I'm really excited about this. So I kind of added a little bit more than what I might end up doing. I might make it a little simpler as we go along. But I can tell you right now that I printed my second week of January, and my total, actually, they're right here. I can count the number of photos from last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 photos for one whole week. So they'll probably be, less than 6 spreads, because what I want to do, one of the other things I was going to mention about the planner spread is that, for example, if I have this small photo, right, I'm going to start printing them smaller. And then what I can do is, if this happened on Saturday, kind of like the memory planner girls, you kind of just put this here and then you can do a little journaling. And that's what I would really like to do with some of the smaller stories that don't need their own page. So that's kind of my goal, so that I don't have to, make an elaborate page like these just for every single story. So that's my plan. That's what I'm really super excited about, and I'm excited to share that with you. And I also just wanted to kind of use this as a way to encourage you to make a change if you want to. Sometimes it's scary to say, I'm going to basically change everything that I'm doing, because we get so used to one way. That's probably one thing. And that you've purchased page protectors, or you've got all the albums or whatever, or this is just the way I do it. And that's totally fine. But just if you're feeling that itch, don't hesitate, take a chance and try something new. And I did say in the podcast that I would try this for a month, and I am definitely going to do it through January. And if I get to the point where I am not loving it, then I can always go back. I really can. Just like December, I can always point whoever's reading the big 12 by 12 album, I can always just point them to the smaller album. But I do think that this is making me feel extra creative. I mean, I basically finished the whole entire week. So here's just a kind of a gauge for time-wise. I finished the whole week. It probably took me to get from here to here. Probably, well, I worked on it most of yesterday, most of Saturday, which probably was a total of 4 or 5 hours as the, you know, throughout the day and stuff. I mean, I get up early and I work at my desk before anybody gets up, and as the boys are roaming and doing things, and I'm just kind of at my desk on the weekends, just if we don't have things to do. So I worked on it for a really good chunk, but I got to work on so many different things versus a 12 by 12 spread with this many photos would have either turned into 2 12 by 24 spreads, and probably one layout would probably take me 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, because I'm a little out of practice. And then once I'm like, I dread the page kind of at the end, because I'm just kind of over the photos, I'm over the colors. I've worked on basically the same project for several hours. Whereas here I get these little tiny chunks of something I feel accomplished. I've created something pretty that I love, and then I can move on to something else, which is just making me feel extra creative because I'm just in it and doing it. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe if you'd like to see more. Also, if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, you can hit that dislike button twice. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.